is so much fun to be the subject actually of a double feature.
It's pretty cool. Thanks for like spending the time. It's a lot of movie watching, so and two very different experiences. So.
Yeah, not similar at all.
Yeah.
Well, they just saw Challengers. You might have heard the reaction. Really liked it, and you are also a producer on that film too. Is that the first film you've produced?
No, technically in quarantine days, we did a film called Malcolm and Marie, which I also produced.
Yes.
So that happened. And then Euphoria I produced as well.
Television, Which you are going back to do a third season, I believe.
Yeah.
Excited? Yeah, okay. Let's talk about Challengers. And in terms of, it's so much fun to watch it, and the dynamic between you and Josh O'Connor and Mike Faced is like so unique. And this movie is sexy, too. I have to say.
Luca does sexy. That's his thing. He
It's
can do sexy.
Yeah, but it really is, and it's fun. It's got a great sense of humor, and it has a lot to say about relationships and people. And the dynamic of your career versus your personal life and everything else going on.
Yeah. Well, Mike and Josh are fantastic. They are so talented, but they're also just really lovely people. So they were so lovely to work with. And because it's just the three of us, and it's obviously such an intimate space to share, it's so important that you feel safe with your fellow actors, and they really created that space. And we were really lucky because we had a lot of rehearsal time together. We shot the film in Boston, and we had quite a few months before the film started to just do tennis training, and that was kind of like our boot camp. And it was really nice because I was not alone in the fact, I had to pretend to be a professional tennis player, and I am not. And
Could have fooled me.
well, thank you.
My father was a tennis pro. I grew up in tennis.
I know, you were saying.
And I have to say, the tennis in this movie is so realistic.
Thank you so
much. I think you can go out on tour.
Well, thank you. It's funny, people ask me all the time now, do you play tennis? I'm like, no.
No, never.
The ball was not real. Well, the thing is we for most of the training, I was really trying my best to be a tennis player. I was, we were putting in all this work, and every day we'd have however many hours of tennis training and then work out together, all of us as well. And it was brutal because I was like, it's not something that you can just pick up. I think does anybody play tennis? Okay, so if you do, it's not something that you can just be like, it's not pickleball, right? It's hard. It's really, really difficult. And I had never played before. I didn't grow up playing tennis. So after a while of drilling it, because it's also one of those sports where you can one day you feel like you really locked in, you're like, okay, I got it, I'm hitting it, and the next day, net, nothing's going over. And I would get very frustrated. And then also, when I said, you know what, let me have someone serve it to me. Let me see if I can return a serve. No, I cannot. I was like, let me get out of the way. And so I was like, how am I going to understand the physicality of a tennis player and make this believable by in the next month,
Yeah.
And so I started to try to approach it like choreography, like dance, because that's kind of my background is dance.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, if I try to understand it as if it's choreography and try to get it in my body in that way, then that's something that makes sense to me. That's something that makes sense to my body. So I started to kind of we had wonderful professional tennis players, and I just kind of shadowed, and I would just match up my footwork to hers, and just try to I want it to look like looking in a mirror, or seeing double. I just would record myself next to her over and over and over again, go back, look at her, that's not, her arm's a little higher there, and I could move my feet a little quicker there, and just learned it in that kind of way,
Wow.
perfect mimicking, basically.
Yeah.
And once I forgot about the tennis ball, then it started to look a lot better, So it was a lot of, serving and hitting with no ball. but it looks good, you know?
So they put the CGI, the ball?
Yeah.
That's how that was done?
Yeah, so I would do this, I would start the serve, and then I'd throw it, and then let technology take over.
Magic of movies.
Yes, magic of movie making.
Wow. So it's so realistic to look at. It's just really amazing. I've seen a lot of tennis movies and things. I have to say, too, they just saw the movie. At the end scene is just a brilliant scene full of editing, music,
Yes.
acting. It tells you everything about these characters without one word of dialogue going in this match. And you going like, I've never seen the movement in a tennis thing like you do it. It's just like a rhythm. It's fascinating to watch.
Well, thank you. I think I have to give credit where credit's due, and that's to Luca and to Simon Boo, and you know, the entire tennis sequence was mapped out. Like everything was shot listed and storyboarded. It was very technical, and after like 3 weeks of doing this, you're like, am I just doing the same thing over and over? Like, but there was always a reason, and there was and he had this beautiful way of tracking emotionally where all the characters were at, while simultaneously never losing like the momentum of the game. And I don't know, we always just, it was interesting when we were doing a press tour. We were asked about sex scenes, and I was like, well, there isn't any sex scenes, and they were like, oh. Yeah, there isn't. And we're like, no, it's the tennis. That's the intimacy. That's what you're feeling. You know, they're living vicariously through this this shared love and passion for this game, and anything they can't say or do in real life, they let out through tennis. And I think what drew me to the character initially was this idea of a love or passion for something. I think I'm so grateful for my job. I'm so lucky that I get to do this for a living. It's so special, and I feel so grateful. And I think about Tashi's passion for what she does and the idea of it being snatched away. You know, luckily I'm grateful that I have a job that I can do if when I'm 70 years old, you know, I can still play characters and I can still do this. But an athlete, you only have a certain amount of time, and God forbid you get injured. You know, the entire trajectory of your life and your career can change, and this idea of loss and mourning a life that she never got to live and have, I think it was very heartbreaking to me. And also, she never allowed herself the time to grieve.
Right.
You know, and so I think she's dealing with this loss and this grief and trying to like push all of her hopes and dreams and ambitions onto other people. And I just found that quite interesting, how maybe tennis or all these metaphors for other things, for power, for love, for loss, for pain, and it's all through this tennis match. And every conversation that they have, I think it's brilliant that Luca kind of directed the sound to be this like techno thing, you know, because it feels like a match. And as soon as we start get going, the music, you know, and it's like, oh shit, oh okay, you know, and
Reznor and Ross did the score, and it's just so perfectly pitched to this entire movie. Tell me about Luca Guadagnino, your director. He's so passionate.
Yes.
I had a chance to talk to him a little while ago, and he's just somebody who loves this, you know, and knows how to do it. And so in directing you guys, what was that like?
I think he just has such an understanding of character. I don't know, he just sees people for all of what they are and wants to explore all the complicated parts of them and show it in the most beautiful ways. And I know, like, some of our first conversations about the characters, it was even things down to, like, the kind of, like, lotion she uses before she goes to bed, you know, and, like, we were like, oh, that's the kind of woman she is, you know, she likes to wear a silk slip to bed, you know what I mean? She's not wearing regular pajamas or a t-shirt, she's wearing a silk slip, but, it's little things like that, you know, that build these characters, and also tracking them through time and how they change and how they evolve, and what are their hopes and dreams and fears, and these characters are so, you know, intertwined and so messy.
Yeah.
In this really beautiful way, and I think he just captures that feeling and adds things that, because I don't know if there's like, maybe I'm making this up, but like, for example, how windy it is in the final, I don't believe that was originally in the script. Just how, like, I think that was just something that he added, just the texture and the chaos of it. But he sees things in this really beautiful, visceral way, and wants to tell stories about complicated characters that are messy and make mistakes, but still you love them and you root for them and you want them to win. And I appreciated that specifically regarding, Tashi, because I didn't want her to be like a caricature of a strong woman, like, it needed to feel earned and honest, and I appreciated that he allowed her to be vulnerable as well as strong.
You see that even everything and her manipulation and
Yeah.
all these things, that an actor might look at that and go like, oh God, do I want to play that? I mean, the scene on the side of the bed with the three of you is the best piece of seduction and manipulation I've seen since Mrs. Robinson brought Benjamin into their bedroom in The Graduate. I mean, and the way you had to pitch that between the three of you, it's just beautiful chemistry between the three in doing that, and the way it's written and acted.
Well, I appreciate that. I think, again, it's a testament to the team that's around, because we talk about like how, that scene, it's sexy, it's manipulative, it's this, all these things. And it's like, for us, it was also quite technical, because we had to make sure that the timing of the kiss worked with the camera that's coming in, and I have to get back and it's got to pan up. There's just all these other things, and really while it's a three-way kiss, it's more like a 4, 5, 6-way kiss, because there's so many other people. I feel like the camera is the fourth person, because it is a dance between all of us, and it's not just us that's making this, it's a group of people. So I feel very lucky to kind of share that with others, but yeah, these characters are a mess. They're an absolute mess. And I still have debates with people over Team Tashi, Team Patrick, Team Art, Team this, Team that, and what I appreciated about it is there is no set in stone kind of answer to it. It is quite messy, and people can leave going, well, actually he's the bad guy, and then you watch it again, you're like, is he though? And you change your mind. And I found that every time I watched it, which I watched a million times, because making the dang movie, I thought I had like a clear understanding of what the ending was.
Right.
And I remember I talked to my mom, and she watched it, and she was completely different. I was like, really? That's what you felt at the end? And she was like, yeah. And it was fun, because it allowed me to have like a conversation with her, and I think that's the beautiful part about what we do, about being able to like empathize with the bad guy, or someone we perceive as the bad guy, and try to see it from their side.